Docker commands.
Good evening, everyone. In the last session, we discussed about what is the Docker, why we need to go for Docker, and what are the problems available if Docker is not used in the project. So to run every project, some softwares are required. So if we want to install all those softwares manually in the system, then it will take a lot of time. And in the real time, our application should be executed in multiple machines. So if you want to execute your application in multiple machines, installing those softwares in multiple machines is very difficult and it is a time-taking process. To overcome that problem, we are going to use a concept called Docker. By using this Docker, we can achieve containerization. Could you please tell me what is containerization, guys? What is the meaning of containerization? What is the meaning of
The combination of application code plus dependency as a single unit is called as containerization.
containerization? Is nothing but the process of packaging application code and application dependencies as a single unit for the execution is called containerization. If you implement containerization for the project now, then we can achieve portability. Our application can be executed in any machine. Okay, you no need to bother about whether the softwares are available in the machine or not. You no need to worry which version of the software is available in that machine. Okay, so when you use containerization, Docker will take care of that. Docker is a containerization software, right? Docker architecture. If you want to work with the Docker, we should know about the architecture of the Docker. What is the Docker file? What is the Docker image? What is the Docker registry? And what is Docker container? Docker file is used to specify where is our application code and what are the dependencies are required to run our application. Then by using that Docker file, we are going to create Docker image. Inside the Docker image, application code will be available and application dependencies also will be available. So by using that Docker image, you can create the container. The images we can store into Docker registry. Docker registry is a place where the Docker images will be stored. Once the Docker image is available, by running that image, we can create a container. By using one image, you can create multiple containers also. And yesterday we have done Docker setup in the Linux machine. I have taken one Amazon Linux machine in the AWS cloud and I installed Docker in that machine. After installing the Docker, we have executed some Docker commands. Docker images, Docker pull, Docker RMI, Docker run, ps-a, stop command, start command, rm command, Docker system prune -a like this. We have used several Docker commands. Then we are able to pull the Docker images from the Docker hub and we are able to run the Docker images. When we run the Docker image, the Docker container is created and we are running the container in the detached mode and we are able to see the logs of the container. Inside the container, our application will be executed. Now, yesterday, we have created a Docker machine. Let me go to that machine and let me start that Docker machine, guys. So my Docker machine is not running. Yes, so this is my Docker server. After the class is completed, I stopped my machine. So the Docker machine status is stopped. Let me start the machine again, start the instance. Then I will connect with that machine by using the git bash. The key pair is available. Open git bash and let me connect with that machine. I'm opening my git bash. My machine is getting started. Click on connect. Take this SSH and connect with the machine. Okay. Are you sure want to connect? Yes, I want to connect. Yes, I connected with this machine. Now let me execute Docker images command. So when I execute Docker images, there are two images available. Can I delete those images, guys? Can I delete all the images, all the stopped containers in single shot?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is my voice clear for everyone?
Yeah,
Yes,
sir,
sir.
clear.
Yes, sir.
Voice. Yes, sir, your voice is clear.
Now, I want to delete all these images and all the stopped containers. Can you tell me what is the command we need to use for that?
Docker
Docker
RMI, sir.
system prune -a.
Prune.
Docker system prune-a. Yes, I want to delete all these things. 178 MB space we have reclaimed. Okay, now you can check it. Docker images. Any image is available or no image is available?
No images available.
No image is available. Any container is in the running state or in the stopped state now? No.
Nothing.
Containers also not available. Images also not available. So what is the command we use to download the Docker images, guys?
Docker pull command.
Yes. Docker pull command. Okay. Docker pull command. There is a Docker image available. So that is Ashok IT / Spring Boot REST API. Now you can use this command in order to pull the image. Okay. It is downloading the image from the Docker Hub. Okay. hub.docker.com. In the Docker Hub, my image is available and I'm able to pull the Docker image. After pulling the image, you can verify Docker images. Yes, image is available. Now I want to run the image. What is the command to run the Docker image, guys?
Docker
Docker
What is the
run.
command to run the
Docker.
Docker image
Docker
now?
run.
Docker run -d image name.
Docker run image name or
Either image name or image ID.
Docker run image name or image
Observe.
ID.
Observe. I am running the Docker image now. Am I using -d option or I am not using -d option?
Not
What is the meaning of -d?
detach.
Detached mode.
So today somebody asked me, sir, what is a detached mode? Now observe. I am running my image directly by using Docker run command. I am not using -d. Now you observe Docker run image ID. So the image is executed, container is created. Inside the container, my application is executed. This is the log of the application. Application log messages are printed. Now, can I execute any other command in the terminal now?
No.
Can I execute any other command in the terminal?
No,
No, sir.
no.
No. So this is container created in the interactive mode. So when I execute this Docker run with the image ID, my container is created. Inside the container, my application is executed. Application logs are printing. Application logs are printing. I want to create another container. If I want to create another container, I need to execute the Docker run command. But here, my terminal is allowing me to execute another command. My terminal is not allowing me to execute another command.
Not allowing.
Not allowing to execute another command.
Blocking the
It is allowing me to execute another command. Terminal is not allowing me to execute another command.
Not
Terminal
allowing.
is not allowing me to
allowing.
execute the another command. If I want to execute another command, I need to press Control C. Then I got the terminal to execute the another command. If I press Control C, then my container will be stopped. My application will be stopped if I execute Control C. So earlier, these messages are printed. I was not able to execute another command in the terminal. If I want to execute another command, I need to press Control C. When I press Control C, my container will be stopped. My application will be stopped. Now can you see Docker PS? My container is running. My container is not running now.
Not running.
My
Top state.
container is not running. So is it recommended to create the container like this, or this is not recommended to create the container like this by using Docker run command directly? If I run like this, what is the problem? You cannot execute any other command in the same terminal. If you want to execute any other command, you need to press Control C. If you press Control C, your container will be stopped. Then your application will be stopped. I want to run my container in the background, in the detached mode, so that I can execute other commands also in the same terminal. Are you guys getting my point? When I execute Docker run command with this image ID directly, container created, application is executed, but I can't execute any other command in the terminal. If I want to execute other command, Control C. When I use the Control C, it is shutting down. My application stopped. My container got stopped. What is the proof? Docker PS. Container is available or container is not available?
Not available.
Not available.
That means application is stopped. So what is the recommended way to create a container in the Docker, guys? What is the
Detached.
way to create a
By
container
detached mode.
in the detached
Using
mode?
it.
Docker run -d image ID. If I use -d, what happened? My terminal is available to execute other commands. My terminal is not available to execute other commands now.
It's available.
Terminal is available to execute other commands. Now you understand what is -d flag in the run command now? What is -d?
Detached mode.
Detach mode.
Detached mode. Why we are creating the containers in the detached mode? What is the benefit we are getting?
We use another.
So that we can use different commands.
Container will be running in the background and we can execute other commands in the same terminal. We can execute other commands in the same terminal. Can we check the logs of the container?
Yes.
Yes.
How to check the logs of the container?
Docker log.
Docker log.
Docker logs. Docker logs image name or image ID.
Docker logs container ID, not image, container ID.
Sir, if you use hops, then what would be the problem? Docker hops instead of this.
We'll talk about that. Docker logs container ID. When I execute Docker logs container ID, what is happening? The logs of the container. What is happening in the container? It is printing. So these are the messages of our application. Our application is executed. Okay, we are good. So with this, we are able to create a Docker container in our machine. So this is my Linux machine, guys. Observe. This is my Linux machine. Linux virtual machine I have taken in the AWS cloud. This is my Linux virtual machine I have taken in the AWS cloud. This is machine. So one machine I have taken in the AWS cloud. In this machine, what is available? In this machine, we are having OS. Which OS is available? Linux OS is available, which is called host OS. This is also Linux. Host operating, that means the main operating system which is available in our machine, that is called host operating system. So I have taken one machine in the AWS cloud, that is Linux machine only. So the operating system available in the machine, Linux. Then in this Linux machine, I have installed one software called Docker. I have installed one software called Docker in this machine. That is the Docker engine. I installed Docker engine in this machine. Okay. Now, by using this Docker, I have downloaded Docker image from the Docker hub. What is the Docker hub here? Where my image is available? Did I create any image on my own, or I am using already created image now?
Already created image.
Or I am using the existing image?
Existing one.
Existing long back, 2 years back, I created one Docker image and I stored that image in the Docker hub. 2 years back, I created one Docker image and I am using the same Docker image now. I am pulling the Docker image by using this Docker. Then by using this Docker image, so here Docker images are available in my machine. I'm able to pull the Docker images from the Docker hub. Multiple images you can pull. If you want, you can create your own images also. If you want, you can create your own images also. Docker images I am taking. By using this Docker image, what I am doing, guys? By using this Docker image, I am creating Docker container. By using this Docker image, what I have done? Docker container I have created. So what is there inside the Docker container now? Inside the Docker container, our application is executing. Our application is executing where, guys? Our application is executing in the host operating system. Application is executing in the container machine.
Container machine.
Application is executing in the container machine. So can we see that container machine with our eyes, or we cannot see the container machine with our eyes?
We cannot see, sir.
Container machine with our eyes, or we cannot see the
We can.
container machine with our eyes?
We cannot see.
Cannot see. That's why it is called as a virtual machine. I told one point in the introduction. Every Docker container is a Linux virtual machine only. Every Docker container is a Linux virtual machine only. So our application is running. We have taken one Linux machine from the AWS. In the AWS, I am able to see my machine information. Okay. So if you see the instances which are running in my AWS account, there is a Docker server is available. I can see this Docker server information. Docker server having public IP. So by using this public IP, I connected with this machine. This is my host machine. In the host machine, Linux operating system is available. In that host machine, I installed Docker software. By using this Docker, I downloaded the Docker image from the Docker Hub. By using that Docker image, I created a Docker container, but I cannot see the container machine. That is a virtual machine. That is also a Linux machine. That is also a Linux machine. Are you guys getting my point? Now, so my application is running in the host machine, or my application is running in the container machine now?
In the container.
Application is running in the container machine.
Container machine.
Now I want to access my application. Other people want to access our application. Customers want to access my application. Can customer connect with the container? Can customer access the application directly? Customer cannot access the application directly.
Cannot access.
Cannot access the application
Customer
directly.
cannot access the application directly. Why customer cannot access the application directly? Where is application now?
Inside the
Inside container.
host.
Inside the container. Where is that container? Inside my host machine. What is the IP address of the container? Do you have the IP of the container to access? No. We don't have the IP address of the container to access. Are you able to understand my point?
Yes.
I am running my application in the container, guys, in the detached mode. You can see Docker PS. What is the purpose of Docker PS? It is displaying the containers are running. Can you see? This is my container ID. This is the image ID which used to create the container. So inside the container, I have executed my Spring Boot Java application. 6 minutes ago, the container is created. It is up 6 minutes. From 6 minutes, it is running. This is the name for the container. Do you have any IP address of the container to access our application which is running in the container?
No.
Then end user can access our application. End user cannot access our application now.
Cannot access.
End user can access our application, or end user cannot access our application.
Cannot access our application.
End user cannot access our application. Now, how to give our application if the end user not able to access the application, is there any use of that application? There is no. Why we are creating the applications? First of all, for users access only, right? We are creating the application for the user access only. If a user is not able to access the application, then what is the use of that application? If user is not able to access that application, then what is the use of that application?
No use. There is no use.
There is any use or there is no use of that application, guys?
No
No
use
use
of
of-
the application.
There is no
Use of the application if the end user is not accessible.
Now, how to give application access for the user? That is the point. Application is running in the container. End user cannot access that container. How to give the application access for the user? To give the application access to the user, we need to implement a concept called port mapping. We need to implement one concept called port mapping. So whatever the application which is running in the container, that application should be linked to our host machine in which Docker software is installed. If you implement this port mapping, then by using host machine public IP address, we can access the application. Are you clear with my point? So I have a machine. In my machine, Docker is installed. Using Docker, I downloaded the Docker image. Using the Docker image, I created a container. Inside the container, my application is running. Now application cannot be accessed by end user because end user don't know container machine IP. So our machine IP we know, our host machine IP we know, public IP. Now, if you want to allow end users to access your application, you need to establish the relation between container machine and our host machine. What is the host machine? In which you have installed Docker software, that is called your host machine. So you need to establish the relation between the host machine and the container machine. We need to establish the relation between host machine and container machine. How to establish that relation? By using port mapping. How to implement port mapping? So here, first of all, we should know application running on which port number. My application is running on the port number 9000. My application running on the port number 9000. Sir, how do you know the application is running on the port number 9000? If you go here, Docker logs container ID. I'm checking the logs of the container. When I check the logs of the container, can you see this message? What is this message, guys? Can you read this line?
Tomcat started on port 9090.
Tomcat started on the port number what? 9090. So that means my application is running on the which port number now? It is running on the port number 9090. Are you able to follow me? How I came to know that container is application running on the port number 9090?
Sir, I'm getting doubts. Sir, container machine and Docker and host machine both are different. Sir.
Yes. So now inside the container, my application is running. My application is running in the Tomcat server. The Tomcat server running on the port number 9090. Now we will call this 9090 as a container path. What is 9090 now? 9090 is called as our container path. Now container port number, sorry. This 9090 is called as our container port number. This container port number I will map with the host port number. In the host machine, I will map this 9090 port number to one port number in the host machine. In the host machine, we need to map the port number. How we will map the port number? Docker run -d -p container port and host port. Okay, what is the mapping we are going to do? We need to map the port number. How to do the port number mapping? Host machine port number colon container machine port number space image ID. So we need to run the Docker container in the detached mode with the port mapping. Then only we can access our application. This is the command we need to use to run the application. Docker run command. Docker run command is used to run the Docker image. -d will represent detached mode. -p will represent port mapping. Host port colon container port. What is a container port? 9090. In the host machine, you can map this container port to one port number in the host machine. In the host machine also I am using 9090. You can use another port number also, no problem. Host port colon container port. That is called port mapping. Why we need to do the port mapping? Port mapping is used to provide application access for the end user. If you map your container port number to the host machine port number by using host machine public IP, we can access the application. So currently, my container is running on the port number 9090. That 9090 port number I will map to host machine port number. Then I can access my application by using host machine IP address. I am establishing the relation between container port and host port. How to do that? Okay, my container is already running. Let me check it. Docker PS. Let me stop it and remove it. Docker stop the container. Port mapping is not available. Okay, container ID. I'm stopping the container. Then Docker RM. I want to remove the container. container is deleted. Now you check it, Docker PS. Any container is running, container is not running now.
running. Stop state.
Running,
Not running.
Yes, man.
not running the container.
Now observe, Docker images. My image is available. Okay, now execute. Docker run -d -p 9090:9090 space my image ID. So if you run the container like this, now we can access our application in the browser. From the Windows machine, we can access the application which is running in the Docker container. Okay, I have executed. Now check it. Docker PS. What is the status of the container now? Container status is what now, guys?
Is running.
Running.
Running status.
Container is running. What is the container port number?
9090.
9090.
9090.
So
Sir, how do you know host port number?
container port number is 9090. The same port number I map it to host port number with the 9090. Host port number no need to be same as a container port number. Host port, container port can be different also. There is no problem.
No,
Okay.
sir, how to see, how do you know what is the host ID?
Sir, this is a number I have given, sir, on my own. You can give 8080, you can give 123.
Where to see, sir? Where to see?
Anything you can give. This is you are seeing in the logs. This is the container port. Container port number is giving in the logs. This port number I have decided. You can decide on your own what to see. No need to see anything. You can give this port
Sir,
number.
Sir, in
how
real
to
time also it
identify
is
which
same.
port is free? I mean,
Sorry?
the port is already used or
It-
which one is free?
If port is already used, then you can check the port number by using that top command and PS command we can use to check the process which are running in the line. Okay.
Yes.
Sir, this host number real time also we can also give.
Yes, sir, we will give this. Whenever you are going for the containerization, port mapping is mandatory to access the application. If port mapping is not available, you can't access the application.
Okay. No, what I'm saying is the host port in the real time also we can give any port number.
Any number. But for readability, it is recommended to give container port to host port as same. Mandate. If a container port number is 9090, host port number I can give something different also. There is no problem. Okay.
But but here, so we are deploying the pipeline using the automation, right? How it will take, sir, this host port number?
Don't come to the conclusion. I am not talking about any pipeline. When I explain pipeline, then your doubt will be clarified. Okay.
Sir, can you
Okay.
take instead of 9090, can you take 7070 also here?
Yeah, this number you can give 7070 also, no problem.
Okay.
You got my point. That is what I'm telling.
So there is no place to define this port number. You just need to enter a random number,
Yes.
random port number to just merge this container port number with your host port number, right?
Correct. Container port number is fixed already. It is 9090. Okay. So now you can choose this port number anything. You can give 8080. You can give 9090. You can give 9091 also. 9092. It's up to you, sir.
What is for this number? 9091.
Anything. Okay. Good. Fine. Now I
Sir,
have
one last thing. So, like,
guys,
since we
please let me complete the class. Please let me complete the class. All your doubts will be clarified. Okay. Let me complete the class first. Please cooperate.
okay, okay.
So here I am running my application by using this Docker run command. So when I go for this Docker run command, if I directly execute this Docker run command, I can't run any other commands in the terminal. So that is the reason I'm running my container in the detached mode. If I run in the detached mode, I can't access my application outside of the machine. So to access my application outside, what I am doing? I'm going with a Docker run -d -p host port. Any number you can give host port. My container port. Container port is 9090. then you can give your image ID. You can give your image ID. For example, here I am giving this command, container is already running on the port number 9090. How I know that container running on the 9090? By using
Checking the
container logs, I am checking that. Docker PS, then Docker logs, container ID I am taking. With this container ID, I'm able to see Tomcat running on the port number 9090. So my container port number 9090, I can't change it now. So this 9090, I should map to host machine port number. On the host machine, you can take 7070 also, 7071, 72, 73. It's up to you. You can map it to any port number. So for readability, I am mapping to 9090 only, but it's not mandatory. Please remember that. So when I run my Docker container in the detached mode with the port mapping, then I can access the application. Now the port is mapped to the host machine on the 9090 is available here. This 9090 I map it to host machine port number. Now end user can access our application with the help of host machine public IP. End user can access the application by using public IP address, public IP :9090/application URL, http public IP of the host machine : host port number /application URL. So with this URL, end user can access the application. Now go to host machine. In the host machine, go to the security group. So what is the host port number now? The host port number is 9090. Go to the security group in the host machine. Go to the security group inbound rules. Then edit the inbound rules. What is the host port number I have given at the time of execution? I have given
9090.
Now let's go and enable that host port number in the security group inbound rules. Any request which is coming to the 9090 port number, I want to allow that request. I'm telling to the AWS, hey AWS, in your Linux machine, if any request comes with the port number 9090, then you allow that request. That is the security group rule I have updated. Now go to this machine public IP, host machine public IP. So the Docker machine public IP is available. Let me take the public IP of the Docker machine, public IP : host port, not container port, host port. What is the host port I have given? Host port I have given as 9090. Suppose if I give 8080, then I should use 8080 in the URL. I have given host port as 9090. 9090/welcome/Ashok. Okay, when I hit that URL, it is giving Ashok, welcome to Ashok IT. Whatever the name you give, that name it will give here with a welcome message. Suppose if I give the name as Raju, it is giving Raju, welcome to Ashok IT. If I give the name as Rani, welcome to Ashok IT. So this is the message I am getting from my application. Where is my application available? My application is available in the container. How I am accessing the application which is available in the container? By using host machine public IP I am accessing. What is the relation between host machine and the container? Port mapping. How I have done the port mapping? -p 9090:9090 I have taken. So if I do this port mapping by using public IP of the host machine, we can access the application. Now I am giving this URL. You can also access this URL. You can change the name from Rani to your name, then your name will come in the response. This is the message which is given by application. Where is this application is running? In the Docker container. Are you clear with my URL now? Are you able to access the URL? Are you able to access the URL now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Can you change the name and can you try that?
Yes.
Yes. So finally, we are able to run one application in the Docker and we are able to access that application. Here, two things that you need to understand. What is -d and what is -p? What is the purpose of -d?
For
Detachment.
What is the purpose of -d? -d is used for detached mode. Why we want to use it for detached mode?
To execute other commands.
To execute some other commands in the same terminal. What is the purpose of port mapping here?
So
Why
it's
Map the
different
port
user
application is accessing the application.
application.
User can access by using this port.
It is used to access our application. Without port mapping, you can't access your application. Okay. Now in my machine, one container is running. What is the container port number and what is the host port number now?
Container 909 and host is 909.
Host port also 9090. Okay. One container is running in my machine. Fine. Can I run one more container in the same machine? One more application in the same machine now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Now I want to run Python application in the same machine. I want to run one more container with the Python application. Are you able to follow me? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. Absorb. Let me connect with my machine. I connected with my machine. Let me check Docker images. Which image available now? Spring Boot image is available. I want to download the Python image. My image is available in my Docker Hub account. hub.docker.com. hub.docker.com. So I logged in into my Docker Hub account. Scroll down. Can you see this one? What is this image, guys?
Python Flux app.
Yes.
Flask app.
Python Flask application is available as a Docker image. Okay. Let me pull this Docker image. Okay. So now this is Docker image. I'm going to pull. Directly you can run also. I'm using Docker pull Python Flask application. Python Flask application I'm pulling. Docker image I'm pulling. It is downloading the image from Docker Hub now.
In the real scenario, this image will be created by developer only, or we need to create?
Developers also will create. DevOps people also will create.
Okay, this is basically a Docker file only, right?
Docker images. Now, can you see how many images available?
2.
Python
images.
Flask image available. How many containers are running now?
1.
1.
How
One
many
container.
containers are running now?
1 container.
1.
One container is running. Okay. Now let me go for Docker images. Okay. So let me run Docker run -d. I want to run Python Flask application. Python image ID. Okay. Let me take the Python image ID. Am I using port mapping or I am not using port mapping?
Not
using
using.
port mapping. Not using.
I'm not using because I don't know what is container port. Are you getting my point?
Okay.
Do we know the container port of the Python application or we don't know the container port of the Python application?
We have no
We
idea.
Don't know.
We don't know, right? Now run it. Python application container created. Can
Yes.
we see the containers running now? Docker PS. This is Python application container ID. Can you see what is the port number Python application is using now?
5000.
5000.
5,000.
Container Python application running inside a container port number is 5000. Are you clear with my point? You can
Yes.
also check the logs of the Python container. Docker
Log. Container
container
ID.
The container name. Container ID.
Docker logs container ID. What it is saying now?
Running.
Running with
It's running on
What is the port number
5,000
now?
port number.
5000 port number.
5000 is the port number. Container is running. Container is running with the port number 5000. Now I want to delete the container and I want to create the container along with the port mapping. Are you clear with my point?
Yes.
How to
Yes.
delete a container?
Sir, first we
Docker
stop the container, then we
RM
delete.
Docker
Docker stop.
Docker
and image name.
container ID.
Docker
we have
stop.
to stop the
First we
container.
ID. Docker RM container ID. So when
Not
I
response.
Docker RM container ID, what it is saying?
Error response.
Error response from the demo
Container
cannot
is
remove the
running. Boss,
running.
you cannot delete the running container. You cannot delete the running container.
running containers.
Stop the container before removing or do the force remove. Either you stop it, then remove, or else you go for force remove. Okay, what is the meaning of a force remove? Docker RM -f
FNF.
container ID. That is a force removal. If the container is running, then I want to delete. Force removal is required. -f. Otherwise, you stop it and you remove it. Okay, I have done force removal. Docker PS. How many containers available now?
One.
One
How many
container.
containers available?
One container.
One container.
One container. Okay. Now I want to create another container. Docker images. Python application image ID is available. What is the command? Come on.
Docker run.
Docker run
Docker run -d.
-d 5000 colon 5000
5000 colon 5000.
5000.
Image ID.
5001.
No,
No,
not
sir.
that.
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
Left side part you can
Containers.
change. Right side part
Yes, sir.
you cannot change. You got my
Okay.
point?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Give it as
Only
5000. Okay, space. What is
Image
the
ID.
image ID?
Image ID or image name.
Image ID. Image name or image ID. Execute. Another container created. Now Docker PS.
Yes.
Now can you see Python application running in one container, which is mapped to 5000 port number. Java application running in the another container, which is mapped to 9090 port number. Now, in order to access Python application, enable the 5000. Go to the Docker machine, host machine, go to security group, go to inbound rules, enable the Python container host port number, security group ID. This is my security group of machine. Enable the port number in the security group inbound rules. Edit the inbound rules. What port number enable? 9090. Now, which port number I need to enable now?
5000.
Any request which is coming to 5000, I want to allow that. So click on save rules. So with this, I have updated. Now go to my machine, take the public IP of the Docker machine. This is my Docker. Take the public IP of the Docker. Public IP colon, what is the host port number? 5000. Enter. What it is saying now? Are we getting the response from the Python application or not?
Yes.
Public IP colon 5000. You can hit that URL. So two containers are running in the same machine. Those two containers are having two different port number. Java container is running on the port number 9090. Python application running on the port number 5000. So both the container ports I map it to the host port. Are you able to follow me? Can you hit the two URLs now? Are you able to access two URLs?
Yes.
Yes.
So that means, can I run multiple containers in one? Can I run multiple Docker containers in one machine?
Yes.
Can we
Yes, sir.
multiple Docker containers in one machine? Is it possible or not possible?
Possible.
Possible, sir.
Practically, we are able to see. Yesterday, so many people asked me, sir, can I run two different applications, two containers in the same machine? Today, you got the answer. So this is running on the port number 5000. Java application running on the port number 9090. Python application running on the port number 5000. This 5000 port also we map it to host port. -p 5000 colon 5000. So whatever the host port is there, that host port I have enabled in the security group. Now, can we use container port, host port, different numbers? Currently, my container port and host port are same. Can I make them as different?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes or
sir.
no?
We'll do, sir.
Yes. Now, let me delete my Docker containers, guys. I will delete the running containers. Okay.
Can we
Docker,
use all the port numbers same for the same all application?
sorry.
Can we use port numbers same for every all application 9090 only?
It's up to you, sir. What port number you can use?
No, for everything, all the application running containers for all the containers.
I'm not getting your question. I will take your question at the end of the session.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, can you see Docker PS? Any containers are running now?
No.
Docker PS-A. PS-A.
Okay.
What is the meaning of that?
Sir, displaying the
Running
stop
container.
container.
Running at stopped container.
Stopped containers. Can I do like this? Docker system prune -a. Yes.
Do that.
1 GB memory we have claimed. Okay, good. Now, Docker images. Do I have any images?
No.
Docker
No.
PS. Do I have any containers available?
No.
No.
Docker PS-A. Nothing.
No.
No images, no running containers, no stopped containers. Washing powder, Nirma. Everything is clean. What is the command to clean everything?
System prune. Docker
System prune -a.
Yes. Docker system prune -a.
-a.
It will clean everything. Okay. Now I will download Python application image. Okay. Docker pull. Ashok IT / Python Flask app. Pulling. I'm downloading. Yes, done. Now go for Docker images. Image is available. Now let me run. Docker run -d -p. Here I'm going to use 9090:5000. What is the meaning of this?
One is the host machine 909050 is the Python machine.
Sir, container port number is 5000 and host port number is 9090.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes. Now, with this I'm able to create a container. Container port number is 5000. That container port to 5000 I map it to host port as 9090. Now, what is the URL to access Python application?
Public URL column 9090.
Public IP colon
9090 slash
Docker PS. It is running. Host port 9090, which is mapped to 5000, which is container port. Go to this one. Take the public IP address colon 9090. Earlier 9090 I have given for Java. I deleted that. Now 9090 I have allocated for Python application. Can you hit that URL? What is output you are getting? Java application output or Python application output?
Python.
Python application output.
So tell me, container port to host port need to be same or they can be different also?
They can be different.
Different also.
They can be different also. Practically, we are able to see that. Is it clear? Now, one question for you. Can we run two containers with the same port number?
No.
No, sir. No, sir.
Think and tell me. Can I run two containers with the same port number?
No.
Not possible.
It's
You
not
can
possible.
run. You can map the different ports for host. Host name should be same, but port container number should be different.
My question is, can we create two containers with the same port number?
Yes, you can.
Yes.
Yes, we can create.
Port number must be same, but
Container
host port number must be different.
Listen.
Container.
Two containers can be executed on the same port number. There is no problem because
Yes.
every container is a different virtual machine.
Yes.
Here, this is my host machine, guys. This is my host OS.
is same.
This is my host OS. In this host OS, I am running the containers. This is container 1 and this is container 2. Okay, this is container 1 and this is container 2. What is the meaning of container now? What is the meaning of container now?
Virtual machine, separate virtual machine.
Virtual machine. This container is running on Java application with port number 8080. Okay, in the first container Java is running. In the first container Java application is running with the port number 80. In the second in the first container, Java application is running with the port number 8080. In the second container also Java application is running with the port number 8080. Any problem or there is no problem? Any problem or there is no problem? There is no problem because two containers are independent. Two containers are independent. So you can create two containers with the same port number. There is no problem. Every container is a different machine. Every container is a different machine. But when you are mapping these container port numbers to the host machine, host port number should be unique, guys. You cannot do like this. -p 8080:8080. So in the host machine, 8080 port number is allocated to second container. Then if you try to allocate that port number for the first container also, it will fail. Two containers can run on the same port number, but when you are mapping them to the host port number, it should be different. In the host machine, 8080 you can map for only one container, not for two containers. Okay, then what you need to do? Here, you need to give 8081. Okay, host port number should be unique when you are mapping. Two containers can run on the same port number. Are you clear with my point?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, one port number you can map to only one container on the host machine. Two containers can run on the same port number. There is no problem. But when you are mapping them to the host machine port number should be unique. Are you clear? Perfect. Good. So I hope with this you got the clarity. What is the detached mode and what is the port mapping and how to access the application. Okay. Docker pull Ashok IT Spring Boot REST API, which is used to download the image. Docker run Spring Boot REST API, which is used to run the container. It is going to run in the container without a detached mode. Then you run the container in the detached mode. Check the logs of the container. Here, I'm running the container by using port mapping. I'm running the container by using port mapping. Are you able to follow this? These all are the commands we are using. Okay. Next one, I am running Python application also. Docker pull Python application, Docker run Python application, run the Docker application in the detached mode with the port mapping. Here, whenever we are using -d represents detached mode. And when we are using -p, that represents a port mapping. Host port to container port need to be same or no need to be same, guys?
No need to be same.
No need to be same. All right. So here I am running the Java application URL, application URL. This is the application URL for the Java application we are executing. These commands will tell you how to run my Docker image as a Docker container and how to access that. So here it is used for Python application URL to access that Python application public IP : host port that will give you response from the Python. Okay, Java application URL and Python application URL. -D represents a detached mode. -P represents a port mapping. Are you able to follow me?
Yes, sir.
Are you able to
Yes,
follow me?
sir.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
When we want to access that application, that port number, host port number, we need to enable in the security group inbound rules in order to access the application. You need to enable that port number in the security group inbound rules in order to access that application. Are you clear?
Yes.
Perfect. So with this, we are able to understand how to download the Docker images and how to run the Docker images. How to download the Docker images and how to run the Docker images. What is the detached mode? What is the port mapping? How to check the logs? How to access the application outside of the container with the help of port mapping, we are able to understand. Now tell me, anybody having any questions as of now?
Yes, one
Yeah.
Sagar, yes, sir. So whatever we are creating in the Linux server only, and how we can create in the Windows, sir?
Same commands you will execute in the Windows. You need to install Docker in the Windows. In the Windows, you will execute the same commands, nothing different.
Okay.
Okay.
So we are
In the real scenario, also we can, I mean, and organizations are using Linux server or both.
In the
Windows
real time development, coding you will do in the Windows machine. Deployment we will do in the Linux machine in the real time. Nobody will use Windows in the real time for the deployments. Operations will be happening completely on the Linux machines in the real time.
Okay, sir. Understood. Thank you.
Sir, I have a question regards to port number. I mean, we are giving different port numbers, right? I mean, host port I'm talking about. So is there any thing like one machine can have certain number of port numbers?
65,000 port numbers can be used in one machine. The port range is 65,000.
Okay.
One
And
machine
this
supports 65,000 port numbers.
and this container port numbers are the this predefined application port numbers, right?
Correct. Container port means application port number.
Okay.
Those also we can change. So if you want to use Spring Boot, currently my Spring Boot application using 9090. Tomorrow I want to run my Spring Boot application on the 7070. Then developer will change the port number of the application. If application port number changed, then it can use any port number.
So when the container port number is same, how it uniquely identifies the host?
Sorry, can you come again?
Like how the host machine will uniquely identify each container, like
Based on the
its
port
IP.
number only. Container port you are mapping now. Whatever the
But
port
container port are same, right? For all containers, if you give same port number for all
host
containers.
port number will be different, sir. So
Different, yeah, but
for us, it is a mapping with the port number. Internally,
okay.
Docker engine will identify them by using the container ID. Every container will have its own ID.
ID. That we can find in the log. What is the ID or not?
Yes.
Like ID or
Docker
IP?
PS will tell you container ID.
Can you run the command? Okay.
Every container will maintain its own ID, right? Docker container ID is unique. Sorry. Container ID.
Okay, that one.
Sir, one small doubt. Sir, virtual machine contains operating system, right? So whenever we'll run any image, I mean Docker image, so one container will create, right? So is it contains an operating system or?
Sorry, can you come again?
The virtual machine contains operating system, right? So whenever we'll run any image, it will create container, right? So is that container contains any operating system or?
That is a Linux operating system, sir. Container is a Linux machine. Every Docker container is a Linux machine.
Now we are connecting through Amazon Linux machine.
Sir, your voice is breaking for me.
Am I audible now, sir?
Please speak little louder, sir.
Is it fine now?
No. Guys, can anyone hear his voice?
No, sir.
It is very slow, sir.
Yeah, okay. I will ping you in your chat.
Next question.
Sir, one question here. Can we create Docker image from Docker container?
From the container, you can create the image. From the image, you can create the container.
Can you do that, sir, please, from Docker container to Docker image?
No, I never tried, sir. I don't know. I need to see.
Okay, no problem.
Yesterday you said using one Docker image we can create multiple containers, right?
Yes.
So is this something like reusing in different machines, or within the machine only we can create multiple
Within the machine
containers?
only, you can create it.
But it's all, the container gets created when we run Docker run command, right?
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Here, what is this command is going to do? What this command will do?
It's mapping the host versus container port.
What I will do is 5001 and I will do 5002. If I run,
Okay, got it.
if I run these three commands, what will happen in the same machine?
It is creating three.
Three
No,
containers will be created.
we can.
These three containers will be mapped to three different port numbers on the host machine.
Yeah.
Got it? Yeah. In the real time, generally we will do this. When we go for Kubernetes, this is what we are going to do. By using one Docker image, we will create multiple containers.
Okay.
So, sir, container port number is defined by the developer who developed the particular app.
Generally, in the application, we will define that, sir.
Okay, so basically this two port number which you are using recently, like Java and Python, so you have defined that port number in your application, right?
In my application code, I have defined them.
Okay.
And sir, with this Docker run command, so first it will create the container and then it will run the container as well. So if we just want to create the container, is there any specific command?
Creating and running both are same when we are talking about the container. When you create container, that means it is running. When you run the container, that means it is creating. Both are same. Both are not different.
Okay. And if we don't want to run it, we have to manually stop it, like forcefully. Okay.
That's it.
And
Understood.
last question about the container. You said container is a one Linux machine, right? I mean, the container will be a Linux machine, no Windows, right?
Yes.
So, in the Linux also we have many variations, correct? So, is there any command that
Ubuntu?
It uses Ubuntu?
Correct.
So, is there any command that we can check this thing?
Yes, we can check. That is the next command. Now, if I teach everything, people will get confused. The command is docker exec -it space container id space /bin/bash. Now I entered into container machine. This is the command which we use it to go inside the container. So that is the next level, not now. Okay. So there is a solution for that. I want to go inside the container. Docker exec command we can execute. Then you will go inside the container. Okay. So when you execute this command, I'm going inside the container. So if you see, who am I? I am a what it is saying that root user. So if I say ls-l, it is displaying the files. My Python app.py file is available. Docker file is available. Cat app.py Python application code. This is the code which I have implemented for the Python. In this code, I have specified this is the port number 5000. So this is next level. This is all troubleshooting concepts we'll discuss in the coming classes.
What was Shivani's question? Sorry, I missed.
Sorry?
What was her question? I missed Shivani's question.
She's asking, container is a Linux machine. That Linux machine belongs to which distribution of Linux?
Okay. The audio got cuts in between. Thank you.
This is PWD. The proof, guys. So many people may ask a question. Sir, you are saying container is a Linux machine. Can you prove that really container is a Linux machine or not? Docker ps command is available. This is my container ID. How to go inside the container? That means how to go inside the container machine. For that, there is a command Docker exec -it interactive mode, Docker execute in the interactive mode, container ID /bin/bash. Now from my Docker host machine, I entered into container machine. Container is root. Root means that is a root user in the Linux machine. Go to home directory. Okay. Now ls-l, nothing is available there. Okay. So now I want to go back to cd space something, cd space dot ls-l. So what is this file system? Is this Windows file system or this is a Linux file system?
Linux.
Windows file system or Linux file system?
Linux.
Linux file system.
Linux.
Container is a Windows machine or container is a Linux machine?
Linux.
Linux mission.
Every
Linux machine.
container is a Linux machine. Guys. Okay, that is the next topic basically. Okay, good. So are you clear with whatever we learned so far? So as of now, we learned
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, I have one doubt, sir. Sir,
yeah. What is your doubt?
so here we are end users are accessing the our URL with not directly IP address. Okay, instead of IP address, there is some domain name like www.ashokit, some www.google.it, where we can define that domain name or all these things.
Yes, I got your question. Currently, customers are accessing our application by using domain name. So how to map? Customers are accessing our application by using IP address, but IP address I don't want to give. I want to map my application to the domain name. To map the application to the domain name, in the AWS, there is a service called RDS service is available. Sorry, not RDS.
Route 53.
There is a service in the AWS. The service name is Route 53. By using this Route 53 service, we can map our IP address to the domain name. Okay. If you want to know about that process, in our YouTube channel, I have already posted one video how to map application URL to the domain name. So if you go to Ashok IT domain mapping Ashok IT, you will see my video. In 5 minutes, I have explained how to do the application to the domain mapping. If you go through this video, then you will understand how to map your IP address to the domain name. That is by using a service called Route 53 service available in the AWS cloud. Clear?
Yeah, thank you, sir. Clear.
Sir, someone mic is on, unable to.
Guys, please go on mute, all of you. Okay. So with this we understood. What is Docker, what is containerization, why we need to go for containerization, what is the benefit of using this Docker, what is the Docker architecture, okay, how to install Docker in the Linux machine, basic commands of the Docker we have seen, how to run Docker container and how to access our application. So for this, I'm using my existing Docker images in the Docker Hub. I have shown you how to access Java application and how to access Python application also. And we understood what is detached mode and we understood what is port mapping also. Now the next question, how to create our own Docker image. What is the next question, guys? How to create our own Docker image. Yes. In order to create the Docker image, what is required for us? In order to create the Docker image,
Docker file.
Docker file.
Docker file.
If you want to create a Docker image, then you should have a Docker file. So what is a Docker file and how to create a Docker image by using Docker file? So we need to understand what is a Docker file, how to write the Docker file, and by using that Docker file, how to create a Docker image. Okay, fine. Guys, writing the Docker file is very important concept. Both Developers and DevOps engineers should know how to write a Docker file. So Docker file contains set of instructions to build Docker image. Docker file contains set of instructions to build the Docker image. In general, we will give Docker file name as Docker file. That's it. No extension. No need to give any extension when we are writing the Docker file. Let me show you some sample Docker files which I have already having in my GitHub. Okay. So let me go to, you are executed Python Flask image, right? So this is the application actually, Python Flask Docker application. For this application, I have taken one Docker file. Using this Docker file only, we created the Docker image. So what is the name available for the file, guys? What is the name of this file?
Docker file.
Any extension available or extension is not
No.
available?
No
is not
extension.
available.
So you executed Python application, right? This is the Git repository of the Python project. So whatever the Docker image we have executed, whatever the Docker image we have downloaded, and whatever the Docker container we created for this Python application, that application code is available in my Git repository. For this project, I have created one Docker file. Generally, Docker files will be available in the Git repository only. Now, if you see Python code, app.py, Python project code, what is this 5000? What is this 5000?
Port number.
Port number. Can you see? This is the message. This is the message you are getting from the application or not?
Yes.
When you hit that URL. So this is the code of that project. So whatever the Docker image is available in the Docker Hub, that Docker image I created for this Python Flask application. To create the Docker image, there is a Docker file. If you open the Docker file, some content is available. These are Docker file instructions. These instructions are used to create the Docker file. So these instructions are used to create the Docker image. This is a Docker file. Similarly, let me show you the Spring Boot application you accessed. For that Spring Boot application also, Docker file is available. Go to Spring Boot Docker app. Go to the Spring Boot Docker app. Whatever the Spring Boot application you accessed, this is the Git repository of that application. Can you see what is this? Can you see what is this?
Docker file.
Docker file. Okay.
Docker
So
file.
this is how we are going to write the Docker file. Now we should know how to write these Docker files. We should know how to write this Docker file. So what is a Docker file? Docker file contains set of instructions to build Docker image. What is the name of the file? The file name will be Docker file. Okay. So now the generally Docker files we are going to keep in project folder. We will keep Docker file inside project folder, inside project directory. So projects will be available in the Git repository. So within that Git repository only, our Docker file will be available. Using that Docker file, we are going to create the Docker image. So we should know how to write the Docker file. Before that, so Docker file, if you want to write Docker file keywords, you have to learn. It will take 1 hour of time to learn the Docker file keywords. Okay, we don't have that much time now. So for now, what I will do is I will create one dummy Docker file, guys. I will create one dummy Docker file. Okay, VI, the file name I am using as Docker file. What is VI? Visual editor.
Visual
Any
editor.
extension?
Visual
Any
editor.
extension for the file? No extension for the file?
No extension for the file.
Open that file. Now, in the Docker file, I'm writing some content. Forget about that, what it is. Okay, I'm writing from Ubuntu. From Ubuntu. Run. Echo. Hi. Okay, then I'm running CMD echo hello. What is that, guys? Just I'm writing something. What is that? You forget about that. Just I'm writing 3 lines. Just I'm writing 3 lines. Run command I am using echo. I'm using something like hi. And here I'm using echo hello. Run echo hi, cmd, echo hello. This is basic Docker file. Save it. Good. Okay, fine. Now let me go for Docker system prune -a. Okay, Docker ps, Docker rm -f container id. I deleted. Now let me go for Docker system prune -a. Deleted. Okay. Now can you check in my system? Do I have any Docker images?
No.
Do I
No.
have containers? Do I have any images? Do I have any containers?
No, sir.
No.
No, sir.
No. Okay, good. Now I created one Docker file. What is the content available in the Docker file? Very basic, just 3 lines of data is available from run cmd. Those are Docker file keywords. So we need to learn what is the purpose of those keywords. Today, I'm not talking about those keywords. So we have one Docker file. Who will write the Docker file in the real time? Who is responsible to write the Docker file in the real time?
Developer.
Either
DevOps.
developer or DevOps team.
In some projects developers will write, in some projects DevOps engineers will write. Both people should know how to write the Docker file. Okay, my Docker file is ready. In the next session, you will understand what is from, what is run, what is cmd. Basically, if you want to write the Docker file, then you need to know 10 keywords, guys. Okay, in order to write a Docker file, you need to know these 10 keywords. From keyword, maintainer keyword, run, cmd, copy, add, work directory, expose, entry point, user, like this, 10 keywords available. If you know about these 10 keywords, then you can write the Docker file. Okay, to understand these 10 keywords, it will take 1 hour time. You got my point? So I'm not talking about these keywords now. Out of these 10, I have used 3 keywords from run cmd. 3 keywords I used in my Docker file. So my Docker file is ready. Let's go here. Docker images. No images available. Now I want to create a Docker image by using Docker file. How to create our own Docker image? For this, the command is docker build -t image name. I am giving the image name as Ashok IT /app1. What is this -t? -t represents image tag name. What is the image you want to tag for that? What is the name you want to give for the image? That is called tagging. I want to create a Docker image. That Docker image I want to tag with this name. This is called image tag name. Docker build -t tag name space. What you want to keep in the Docker image? Where is your code available? Where is your application code available? That code you need to keep in the image. So basically, Docker file will contain the number of, instructions. What are the dependencies are required? And where is our code available? So where it should search for the code? Now I am keeping dot. Search for the code in the current directory. Whatever is available in the current directory, you add it to the Docker image. Okay, that is the meaning of dot. Dot means present directory. So what is the command I am using? Earlier, when I execute Docker images, there is no image available. Now I have a Docker file, very basic dummy Docker file is available. By using this Docker file, I want to create the Docker image. Docker build -t tag name space dot. What is this dot represents now? What is this dot represents now?
Current directory.
Current directory.
It is representing current. That means I'm telling that take the code which is available in the current directory. Currently code is not available. Just okay, enter. What is happening now? What is happening now?
Docker image is creating.
Can we check that? Earlier when I executed Docker images, what is the output? No images. Now I executed Docker build command. dot. So current directory, it is checking for the Docker file in the current directory. By using the Docker file, it created the Docker image. What is the image name? Ashok IT / app1. Now check it. Docker images. Now, can you see? Image is created or not?
Yes.
Image is
Yes,
created.
sir. Image is created.
Yes, sir.
Ashok IT / app1. That is the same name I have given for my image. Okay. This is the latest image tag. Image ID. 35 seconds ago, my image created. My image size is 78 MB. Are you clear with my point? Now, so one dummy image I created, guys. Now, can we run this image? What is the command? What is the command?
Docker
Docker
run
run
-d
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 Docker
and
run
image
image ID. When I run the image, what is the output I am getting?
hello.
Where is the hello is available in this? Can you see that? Hello,
CMD.
CMD, hello. I'm telling to my Docker image to print a hello message. So that's why when I run the container, hello message is printed. You
Why
understand?
not getting hi, sir?
You need to know the difference. Hi is printed when the image is created. Hello is printed when the container is created. So there is a difference between run command and CMD command. Run command will execute when the Docker image is creating. CMD command will execute when the container is created. So in the next session, we will talk about these commands. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Good. Fine, guys. So with this, you got the clarity how to create a Docker image now. With this, you got the clarity how to create the image now.
Yes, yes.
Yes, I want to delete this, all the images. I want to create the image again. Can you tell me what is the command to delete everything?
Docker
system
system
prune -a.
prone
-a. Yes, deleted everything. Now you check it. Docker file is available. Can you check the Docker images? Images available or images are not available?
Not available.
Not available.
Available or images not available? Not available. But Docker file is available. By using this Docker file, can we create the Docker image now?
Yes.
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 Yes, I want to create a Docker image. What is the command?
Docker build -t tag name.
Docker build -t
-t. Image
any
name
you can give. Ashok IT / something
app
like
2
Python application. py app space dot.
space dot.
Any name for that. All right, guys. Docker build -t image namespace dot. What is the image name I am giving now? What is the
Ashok
image?
IT / Python app.
py app.
Python app. Okay, created. Image is created. Okay, guys. Now let's go for Docker images. Can you see my image is created or my image is not created?
Image is created, sir.
Created some.
Okay. Now I want to store this image into my Docker Hub account. Where we will store the Docker images, guys?
In Docker
Hub.
Where images will be stored? Docker Hub. When the image is stored, last time 9 hours ago, I stored one image in the Docker Hub. Okay. Now I want to store this image in the Docker Hub. If you want to store the image in the Docker Hub, you need to log in into Docker Hub account. Okay. For that, the command is docker login. It will ask you, boss, what is your Docker Hub account username? My username is Ashok IT. My password, something. Okay. I have given my password. Security, it will not display. Now what it is saying now? I'm able to log in into my Docker Hub account. This is my image name. Now let me use Docker push image name. Docker push my image name. Read the image name once again. Ashok IT / py
Python.
Enter. Yeah, my push got a success. Go here, refresh Docker Hub account. Can you see? Am I able to store my Docker image into Docker Hub?
Yes.
What is the
Yes.
command I have used? What is the command I have used?
Docker push container.
Docker push. Before doing the Docker push, first what you need to do?
Docker login.
You need to create one account in the Docker Hub. Then you can log in into your Docker Hub account by using Docker login command. Then you can push the Docker images into your Docker Hub account. So I hope you got the clarity. What is a Docker file and what is a Docker file and how to create a Docker file? Just basic Docker file. This is the name of the file. Once the Docker file is created, how to create a Docker image and how to push the Docker image into Docker Hub account. In the next class, that is Monday, in the Monday session, we are going to learn about these 10 commands which are used to write the Docker file. If you know how to write the Docker file, 80% of Docker is completed. Are you clear?
Sir, Docker Compose also you will cover, sir, here?
Yes, sir. Good. So with this, I'm done for today and we'll meet again on Monday. We have next class on Monday at 6 p.m. Good guys. Thank you.